The sky was the color of quiet ashes when dawn began to break. The empire still slept, its marble towers bathed in the dim breath of a world about to change forever. A single bell rang across the capital, slow and uncertain, echoing between the stone walls that had once known triumph. In the palace courtyard, the guards stood motionless, their armor dull and weary. They had fought in wars that now lived only in the fading pages of history. No one spoke. No one dared to. It was the kind of silence that felt sacred, a silence before an ending. Inside the palace, the emperor sat alone beside a cracked window. His crown, untouched, rested on the desk before him. Not a symbol of glory now, but of weight. His hands trembled as they held a small photograph, its edges yellowed by time. In it, the empress smiled, frozen in a summer that no longer existed. He whispered her name softly, afraid the wind might take it away. For years he had ruled with pride, believing his empire was unbreakable. But love had been his undoing. Not the wars, not the revolts, not the treaties written in deceit. It was love, and the loneliness that followed her death. Through the open curtains, the first light of dawn touched the city walls. Beyond them, the once mighty banners of the empire swayed weakly, their colors drained by time and defeat. In the distance, the sound of marching grew faint, not the rhythm of conquest, but of surrender. Soldiers carried no flags now, only the weight of memory. They passed the markets where children once played, the fountains where lovers met, and the steps of the great library. Burned in the war, they pretended to forget. Every stone they crossed whispered stories of what once was, of laughter now turned to dust. The emperor rose slowly, his robes dragging against the marble floor. He moved through the halls of his ancestors, portraits watching him from gilded frames, their painted eyes full of judgment. "You built an empire," they seemed to say, "but you could not keep its soul." He reached the balcony that overlooked the river, the same river that had carried ships of victory, parades of hope, and in recent years, refugees fleeing what hope had become. The water reflected the faint glow of the sun climbing over the horizon, the last sunrise of the empire. The people gathered quietly in the square below. No soldiers to order them, no speeches to fill the air, only faces, old and young, waiting to see the final light fall upon their city. Some wept. Others stood in silence, clutching faded coins or medals as if holding on to history itself. A child tugged at his mother's sleeve, asking why the emperor looked so sad. She did not answer. She simply placed her hand on his head and whispered, "Because even kings must learn how to say goodbye." The emperor raised his hand, not in command, but in farewell. His voice, when it came, was softer than the wind. "Take care of what remains." The crowd bowed their heads not out of duty but respect, for a time now gone, for a man who had ruled and lost everything but dignity. As the sun rose higher, it touched the rooftops, the spires, the golden domes that had once gleamed across continents. The empire glowed for one last beautiful moment, not with power, but with memory. Then the colors began to fade. Bells tolled across the river. A new flag was raised in the distance. History had turned its page. Back inside the palace, the emperor returned to his study. He placed the photograph of the empress beside the crown and opened a journal. His final words were not about war or victory, but peace, a peace born of surrender, of acceptance. "All empires end," he wrote, "but love remains. In ruins, in songs, in the hearts that still remember." He closed the book, smiled faintly, and turned his gaze toward the light spilling through the window. Outside, the streets filled with the sound of a new beginning, footsteps, voices, laughter. The empire was gone, but life continued. The sun rose higher, bright and forgiving, washing the land clean of sorrow. And for a brief, almost invisible instant, the emperor could have sworn he saw her, the empress, standing in the sunlight, waiting for him at the edge of time. The wind carried the last banner away. The palace doors closed for the final time. And somewhere in the distance the bells fell silent. The empire was gone, But the sunrise, that last sunrise, remained eternal. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If this story moved you, please consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel for more content like this. We'll see you in the next one.